We all know what's coming up. It's that E3 conference, particularly Microsoft. And one of the biggest questions people have right now is, what is Starfield? Should you be hyped for Starfield? And that's what this video is about. It's going to be my expectations for Starfield at E3 2021. But before we get on with the video, definitely hit that like button if you guys enjoy the video. You can always subscribe to the channel for weekly content. And don't forget to go over there on Twitter and follow me at Lord Addict ILP. Without any further ado, let's talk about Starfield at E3 2021. What's going on, you guys? Gaming Act here, coming at you with another video. Today we're going to be talking about Starfield. This is definitely one of the biggest key points I believe that Microsoft's going to have to show in a good light at E3. And I wanted to kind of give my opinion on what I expect out of this event when it comes to Starfield, and what I expect in general from the title itself. I see a lot of people kind of confused on whether or not to be hyped for this title. It's no secret that we've had information on this for a very long time and we don't really know anything about it. This game was announced years ago and still we don't know what even the gameplay looks like. So the question is, should we be hyped for a game that we have almost no details on? We don't even know what the gameplay looks like, and we don't even know what type of game it is. I think that's a tricky question. There's a lot of variables that go on to games that they don't really give you a lot of information about, and whether or not you should be hyped to play this game when it comes out. I think there's a couple different things you have to take into account. The first thing we're going to talk about is, who is the developer? Starfield's being developed by the core studio of Bethesda Software Studio. They're the people that made the Fallout franchise, the people that made the Elder Scrolls franchise, and the majority of their games have either been Game of the Year contenders or Game of the Year. So I feel like right there we have a little bit of reason to hype this game. Sure, we don't know what it is, and sure, we don't know what type of gameplay you're going to be playing and what type of world we're actually going to be exploring, but we do know that a very solid studio is making this game. I see a lot of people trying to roll with this notation and this narrative that, oh, they made Fallout 76, you know, the last couple games Bethesda made have been flops. Look, sure, Young Blood from Wolfenstein may not have been the greatest game in the world, but guess what? This studio didn't make that game. Fallout 76 might have had a rocky launch, but then they ended up fixing it later on down the road. Now, I'm never going to completely be okay with that, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what Fallout 76 did, because this studio did not make that game. This studio helped with that game to get it out the door. Now, let's be clear here. I'm not saying to ignore everything in you. If you feel like because they're not showing a whole lot of information on this game that they might be hiding something, listen to yourself and just don't pick this game up day one. All I'm saying is this studio has gave us some of the best games that's ever been made. So I feel like they have earned the benefit of the doubt to let us at least wait to see gameplay for Starfield. I'm also not feeling the gatekeeping I'm seeing going on around the community. If people are hyping this game up, let them hype it up. It's something that they're looking forward to because this studio made some of their favorite games, such as myself. We loved Elder Scrolls, we loved Skyrim, we loved Morrowind, we loved Fallout 3, and some of us even like Fallout 4. So when they're making this studio, just let us be hyped for it. Why does people care so much what other people are looking forward to? I will never understand that. If our hype leads to when we play Starfield, we are extremely underwhelmed, then guess what? That's our fault. We hyped this game up and we felt underwhelmed because of the expectations that we had with this game because of the developer who made it. Now let's talk about the game itself. Starfield looks like it has its own little version of Mass Effect. It looks like there's going to be different colonies around this universe that you can go to, you can visit, and you'll be able to, you know, maybe recruit people, because this studio normally does have some form of companions in it. So I would expect that you're going to be recruiting aliens to be on your team, kind of like that's in Mass Effect. Now, I prefer hub worlds, kind of like the Outer Worlds, where you click a point on the map and you explore that world. It doesn't look like Starfield's going to go that kind of direction. From what it looks like that I've seen on the internet, it looks like they might go towards like a No Man's Sky direction where you physically fly to planets. Now, if this is true, this is really the only thing that I'm kind of worried about in terms of development design. A lot of these type of games have randomly generated worlds, and I don't really want that for Starfield. I feel like to generate a good story, you're gonna have to have set planets that have set values. You have to have set areas that you go to activate that quest. And I feel like if it's all randomly generated, it's almost impossible to really do that effectively. But I'm not a developer, they might have figured it out, I don't know. I feel like the graphics of this game are they're gonna look good, but I don't think they're gonna look like that quote-unquote next-gen experience. I think when you look at this game, it's going to really focus more on the aspect of exploration than everything looking fantastic. I don't think it's gonna look bad by any means, but I don't think it's going to look at that one thing that you see and you're like, this is a next-gen graphic showpiece. I just don't think Starfield's gonna be that. I do think it's gonna look good, and I think for the most part people are gonna be happy with it. But if you're going into this expecting some kind of showcase where you can justify buying your next-gen consoles, I don't think you're going to get that with this. One thing that I really hope that Bethesda has improved on is their combat system. Obviously, there's going to be guns and melee weapons in this. Every single game they've ever made has that. So I'm kind of curious how they're going to handle that. It's been a long time since they've made a new IP, so maybe there's going to be a new kind of aspect to combat that's going to be in this. Hopefully they'll put some version of VATS in here from the Fallout franchise, because I feel like that does clean up a little bit of the combat, even though that I feel like that sometimes Bethesda relies on that VAT system instead of really trying to improve their overall combat system. Fallout 4 had a pretty solid experience in terms of combat, but I want that a little bit more amped up and a little bit more clean. I also feel like Starfield's gonna end the show, and it's very important that Microsoft focuses on what they show. We need to see a form of gameplay, and it's gotta be visually impressive enough to really show us that this is a good looking game. Like I said, I don't think it's gonna be an amazing looking game, but I think when you look at it, you're gonna be like, that looks nice. I feel like we're gonna need to see a form of gameplay, story, and graphics in whatever they show. Part of me thinks that they're going to show some form of gameplay, but then the other part of me is like, if it's not coming out this year, they might save gameplay for another event later on, maybe at the end of this year to the beginning of next year. I hope that's not the case. I feel like we need to see gameplay, and we need to see a good amount of it for this game. Microsoft and Xbox can single-handedly use Starfield to really gain interest into their platform. As long as at the end of that trailer it says Xbox exclusive and PC, people will gravitate towards this if it looks good enough. And I'm talking about everything in forms of gameplay, how they presentate it, because it doesn't matter how good Starfield is. If they don't show it in a good light, nothing's gonna matter of anything I've been talking about. But I think, you know, Bethesda for the most part is gonna be in charge of how they show Starfield, and I think Microsoft will just approve it if they want it or not. So I don't think we'll have to worry about that, because Bethesda's normally pretty good at how they presentate their games. But to recap, I feel like Starfield's gonna come out there, it's gonna be visually impressive to a lot of people. Some might not like the graphics as much. I think the gameplays might be a little bit mediocre to a little bit better. It just depends on how much they've really capitalized on the combat system in Starfield. And I think that we might see a pretty decent trailer in terms of gameplay and a narrative focus, and maybe show you a little bit how you go about traveling through this universe. I think that's one of the biggest things that people want to see is, am I going to fly a ship? Am I going to have someone else take me? And I think it's very curious to see what's going to happen and how they show this to the world. Keep in mind, we've never seen a whole lot of Starfield, and I think that works perfectly for Microsoft. So when we go into this event, if Microsoft really capitalizes on Starfield, I think you can end this note with a game that makes you feel like you need to get an Xbox Series X. And I think that's great. Microsoft has an opportunity here. They need to stay focused, and they need to hit this out of the park. But anyway, tell me what you guys think in the comment section below. What do you want to see from Starfield? I'm kind of curious to hear your guys' opinion. Until next time, this is Gaming Addict. I'm out of here. Peace.